Well, hello again, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger. We just got back from the first remote jam of 2020, the COVID lockdown season. It's September. It's like August 29th or something. So the double thumbs up, the new setup. There were moments of bliss where I was just like, I cannot believe how good this sounds. Between the bass preamp we built for my wife's bass, adding this amplifier that we worked on, it's a JFET Marshall preamp with a spring reverb. And then I added the preamp on the MP3 player. We got a Carl Martin Plexitone with a noise gate, active signal splitter. It's a wet dry wet rig, and I added a Moore Ocean machine, which is a reverb with 2 delays. And it's got expression pedal, external special fancy controller. So there's 3 stop switches on it, and then there's another 4 stop switches on the air switch, which each one of these separate delays has their own tap tempo control. It's really cool. It's the most complicated pedal that I own. So I got that thing and I played around with it. I did some looping videos. Man, it's just the coolest thing. And then I integrated it in my gig. And like, I've got an expression pedal to bring the. Right now, I just have it on the level for the whole pedal. So my straight audio just goes through it, and then you can bring in the amount of effect with this pedal. And then the other pedal, the G3, which is the Amp Sims, that has modulation stuff in it. So depending on the patch, like I can blend in echo and modulation on that one expression pedal, and then the other one has this reverb and delay on it. So yeah, I was playing with that today, and I got some like great results live, like stuff you would normally just do with studio effects. I was doing it live, and it was so cool. It sounded like I was like, I can't believe, because I was kind of on the fence. I was like, if I bring that Ocean machine, it's going to get more complicated, more stuff. It's going to take more setup. There's more chance something's going to go down, and then it's real complicated, and I don't want to like have all this echo and reverb on my sound. That just makes it sound like amateurish to me. But no, it was down in the mix, so it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't ka-cheer, 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 echoing like I did when I first got an Echo Box, got a delay. I used to play like that. So I can't tell you how happy I was, but like, there was just a lot of shit. And I'll tell you what, I'm not sure how much video will be usable. Please understand, when we do this, the first time we go out for the year, it's like a week before we go out, we're charging all the, there's so much stuff to do. You're making lists, testing stuff, soldering stuff. And then when we go, it's like we forgot the proper test probes on the meter. We got the alligator clips on it, and those don't go into a 2.1 mil DC jack. We didn't have there's a pump which sprays cold water to cool me down. We only had a small broom. Like, the place was just covered with leaves, and there was a dead deer. So this smell of rotten flesh would come in. Then a guy came in with a cigar. I got my stogie, this really weird. I've smelled this before. I think it's some expensive type of cigar that has this particular aroma. He threw it in the garbage can, and then this thing fell off the ceiling. It was a pile of 7 hornets, giant hornets. The smoke freaked them out, and then they're all flying around. One landed on her. She started screaming. I killed 2 of those giant Hornets today. When we got everything set up, I wasn't passing audio. So I'm like trying to test this power jack that's got, it's a box, it's an old CD case. And I took this vibrating cutter tool and cut the rails that hold the CDs out, because you couldn't fit the batteries in there with those rails, and then they fit. So there's a piece of wood at the bottom to raise it up, and then there's a lamp switch in the metal box, and that's wired up with this 2.1 mil DC to power the power amp. Inside of the box, I've got a 12-volt pack to power the mixer. There's a preamp. There's an MP3 player that the board came with 4 channels with built-in preamp, and then the other channels, the other 4, don't. And I was like, you know what? I'd like to have everybody have preamp. So I bought a preamp board, a NE5532, and you know what? I need to change that out. Because anytime you buy an NE5532 from eBay, they're not. They're imitation, and they suck compared to the real ones. So I got to put that on my list. Anyway, yeah, it's a lot of work to do this. And like when we went out, like I wasn't passing audio, and I've got alligator clips. How are you going to test the inside of a little DC barrel with a giant clip? So she found some wire. I used a lighter and stripped this other end of it, jammed it in there. Okay, 26 volts, it's hot. So then I'm playing around with it. I shut everything off. Hey, Gumpy, you want to write a note? We need to replace the NE5532 in the mixer. Remember how those were fake?
Oh, yeah.
So we need to go and find one that's real, where the image of Texas on the chip for Texas Instruments doesn't look like Puerto Rico. It looks like Texas.
I found some wire because you told us to bring wire just in case. So this
Right
is what
on.
we had.
Right on.
Bag of wire.
So yeah, first time out, I'm not getting any audio. And then I remember, after poking around at it for 10 minutes and swearing, it wasn't 10 minutes, it was like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, it wasn't very long at all.
I turned everything off and turned it back on again, and I heard
It just felt like a long
doo-doo-doo-doo.
time. We were just starting.
The amp does that when it powers up. It plays these tones. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I've got output, like it's working, I just don't have input, what's the deal? And then I remember, you have to press the volume control. It's a switch. It's got a little detent. It barely pushes in, and then that switches it from Bluetooth mode, which I'll never use, to line input. And it says, line in, when you hit the thing. And then I have the MP3 playing. So I'm like, you know, of course I'm like checking the fuse. I got the multimeter. I'm thinking it's something I did, that I built, that's not working now. Like I failed. My work. You know, oh, I used plumber's flux. So yeah, that happened, and then these 26,650 batteries were powering the Moore Ocean Machine. That's this thing that I brought with. It's got an air switch. It's a wireless controller that has 4 extra stop switches on it. So there's 7 total switches for this thing. It's really it's a reverb with 2 delays and a looper. And it's very flexible. There's a real lot of different variations on reverb, delay in there. And it's just an excellent thing, but it doesn't MIDI sync. So that kind of was a bummer. But I got a great deal on it, and it's the most complicated thing I own. So the batteries on this, I'm not sure. I got to see what that Moore power supply is. It's probably like, I don't know. Is it 2 amps that it's sucking up? Because it killed those giant batteries in like 4 hours. And all of a sudden I didn't, my 1 amp, it's a wet, dry, wet rig. So the amp I built is working. But the other setup, I got no audio all of a sudden. In between songs this happens. It just, It's all lit up, the display's on, but there's no audio. And after stealing one of her cables and plugging in at various points, I determined those batteries are dead. And they were like 3.4 volts. So, yeah, put a different big battery pack on that Moore Ocean machine, and I got my audio back. So, the parking lot was cram-packed with people. They opened up this aerial adventure park called The Forge. So it's zip lines that go across these quarries. It's crazy. There's all this aerial stuff you can do, super dangerous. Well, I don't know. I'm going to go there and film it. So you'll get to check that out. I contacted the owner. I was like, are you going to kick us out of there? And the place where we play, the pavilion, is 1,300 feet away from the nearest Forge location, which is a tower that they zip line off of. So I really didn't think it was going to be a big thing. They've got a mountain bike course there. They've got kayaking and canoe rental. They've got restaurants, a fire pit, outdoor movie theater they're going to have when COVID ends, supposedly, and a live band venue outdoor. So he was like, hey, I love the fact that you're making music here. I'm into that myself. I do musical theater every year and my family jams, so you guys should play on our stage. So we got to see how that all pans out. Anyway, no one came from the Forge and hassled us, but the parking lot was cram-packed. I couldn't believe the amount of cars that left when it got dark. It was like across the way. It's like basically we're in a pavilion. There's a pea gravel path where all the joggers go, and it's packed. Everyone's giving us the stink eye. Some people are smiling and they're like doing this and bopping their head. Other people are just like, "What? How dare you?" You know, like, this is the path we walk our dog. Why are you in that pavilion no one ever uses? You swept all the shit out of it and you're in there with an amp. Her. So, yeah, it's that path that, like, normally maybe we'll see 6 cars in that parking lot. There was like 40 to 50 cars there today. We got the second to best spot because somebody left right when we got there, but she had to wait like 10 minutes to get that spot. So after that walk path is a canal, which is like standing water. Then there's another path that goes back to the other spot when you watch the old Family Van videos with the girls where all 4 of us are jamming and it's all green grass. That's this other area where they do yoga now. Back there, the women do yoga. And then after that, there's even more quarries. There's quarries all over this place. So, yeah, there's other parking lots. I guess we didn't look at that stuff. I'm guessing it was jam-packed. It was like I could not believe the amount of people that were coming and going. And like, are they going into the Forge or are they just using this path? I don't know. Obviously, all the cars were there. They were in the Forge. Because other people were coming and just using the path, maybe. I don't know. It was incredible amount of people. So we had that no-go on the audio. It took a while to get everything going. I missed my breakfast. I was just racked with pain from sweeping the place out. It was just full of debris. Then there was so much dust I couldn't even read my screens on my multi-effector. It was like unbelievable amount of dust. So we're going to go back with a proper broom, a push broom, a wide one, and then some jugs of water and try to, I mean, if you see the pictures, it's like everything's dead. All of the greenery is yellow or tan. The trees are dead. I don't know what that was all about. Is it just no rain, I guess? I don't know. So all in all, the footage we shot, I wanted to do these last like 7 or 8 songs at the end of our set list, and I got so carried away playing other stuff. At times, the mix was bad, like it was a little distorted. I had the gain stages wrong. I needed to throttle up the power amp and turn the mixer down. And finally, when I did all that, like we had a new preamp. I had all this other new gear, a massive pedal board instead of one thing, 3 expression pedals. So it was a lot today, and I was overwhelmed. We had some problems, some stuff Like I said, I had to push that line in button. That was 5 minutes. But you know what? When that stuff gets in your head, it ruins it for me. I'm like, I come back, I'm like, yeah, it wasn't a good day. It was fine. It's just that we didn't get any much good video. I'm not sure how much songs I'll upload because we hadn't played a lot of this material since last year. We wrote some harder stuff in the spring. Right when the lockdown happened, we started doing all these electronic projects. So we're just out of practice. And it was overwhelming this whole week getting all this stuff ready and getting it over there. And then by the time I knew it, the sun was going down. And we had to skip a bunch of stuff. And, you know, so I have to tell you that Ocean Machine is so unbelievably cool. Using the expression pedal, combining it with the expression pedal and the G3 to like have it kind of clean, and then bring in modulation with an echo on the G3, and then other echoes and delays that are all tap tempoed out. Having that all blend together and being able to control it was, I've never done anything that cool. It sounded like studio trickery, but I was doing it live, which was so cool. So look forward to checking some of that out. I know that one song we did good on that. I don't think there was too many unbelievably embarrassing mistakes. I have to see how much video is going to come out. The new amp, oh man, that wet dry wet is the way to go. And the new amp is just, it's everything that I wanted it to be and more, using the Carl Martin Plexitone. It just sounds really good. Really good. Same thing with that preamp we built for my wife's bass. The bass is just clearer. It's got this compressor on there. It works really good. The auto wah is awesome on it. The distortion's awesome. Everything was... But we need to get used to this stuff. Like, I need to play with that Ocean Machine, make some notes, figure out how the controls all work, so I can really implement it and really figure out how to combine it and do some stellar stuff. But even just leaving it on Spring Reverb, delay 1, tape delay, delay 2, analog delay, and tapping in the tempos, like this one I would go dut, dut, dut. The other one I would go dut, dut, dut. Every other one, and it was like... So, unbelievably double thumbs up. But there was just, and it was hot. It's 80, and I'm complaining that it was hot, but it was hot, you know. So, hopefully we'll have some footage for you. Thank you guys so much for all of your interest and kind comments. I'll edit all the photos we took in here today. With you, take the good with the bad, man. It's August. You know, like normally we would go out after Mother's Day up until like July 4th. It might be cool in there. We get to go out like 4 times. And then it would be too hot to go. And then we would go in like September and October. This year, that whole COVID thing was going down. And they were building this forge. I didn't want to be there like, you know, when they're like people from the village or the insurance company are coming out. Like, who are these? You know, what's this? So we wanted to wait until they had been open for about a month. And my wife said she saw a guy from the forge, and he didn't say nothing. I saw a couple. I hear you. I saw 2 people on bikes coming from the other way, stop and watch us for about 3 minutes, and they turned around and went the other way. Then we saw a cop, which I think I've seen a cop there. Like, it was like an unmarked looking SUV that had a Johnny light on. That's what I saw. Today we saw a legitimate, like, Lamont police SUV. But they didn't come by us, so nobody messed with us. There was a lot of stink eye from people, overwhelmingly more people, like, looking at us like that. Like, how dare you go in that pavilion? No one ever goes in. So I want to go back there. I'm going to film and shoot at the forge so you guys can check that out. We're going to bring our broom and sweep that pavilion out. We're going to dump some water in there and sweep that. Try to get some of the dust out of there, but I don't think it's going to help. But the picnic tables are rails, and they're bolted into the ground. So it collects all this cobwebs and these weird, like, maple leaf things. It's like a stick with these little oval leaves on both sides that are all orange, like they're dead. And it's just crammed full of that. And then, of course, like I said, the guy threw the sticky cigar in there, and all these hornets came down because the smoke freaked the hornets out. So then there's the hornets flying all around in there. Then there was a dead deer, and that would waft in every once in a while. Thank goodness something was up with my wife's nose thing. I think women are born with no sense of smell because they have to change the baby's diapers, and they have to smell their, old man's ass and when he jumps in bed with them after working and doesn't bathe. So women were created with this immunity. Like they can't, if there's rotten food in the garbage, she can't smell it. And I'm like, holy cow, that smell, like I can smell it from here. Like, get that, did you throw onions in that garbage 4 days ago? Or corn, or some bad blood pudding. Get that out of here, Anyway, this rotten deer, they need to go and get some, is that lye? Yeah. Somebody needs to find where that thing is. So, again, I was coming off of it. It's like 10:30 because I've made this video a few times. But we basically 7:30 we quit playing. 7:58 we rolled out of there. 10 o'clock she was done bringing in everything out of the car. We did go shopping in there for groceries, but it was just grabbing what we need. So that should give you guys an idea. I mean, like, it's a week. Getting all this stuff together takes a week. The first time you go out, it's like trying to get everything right and dealing with, like, pouring sweat. Like drying myself off, getting a different headband, pouring water on this thing I wear around my neck to cool my body. And then there's some, like, string inside my shirt poking my back. So you got to scratch my back. And it's like, okay, we've done all that stuff. You refilled my water. I've sprayed myself because I'm so unbelievably hot. Now let me try to concentrate on getting this remote. I've got, like, a monocle so I can see, is the camera recording? It's unbelievably complicated. It's a massive, massive, massive undertaking that most people in their right mind would never even consider. What we're doing here, building all this shit, charging all these batteries, making all these lists, dragging it out to this place, loading up the car, driving out there, unloading it on a dolly that I made, dragging it over to this pavilion, setting it all up, then filming it in HD. So, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm being a dick or I'm like, I'm so high and mighty about myself. But every once in a while, it's going to end up being a shit show. And the amount of time that we've something blew up and we can't play. The amount of time we went out where we only had 4 videos out of the whole thing. Well, I don't want to say that. That's about it. It's about 3 or 4 videos usable, because of mistakes. We play way better when we're in here in our comfort zone with the air conditioner on, especially with people walking by glaring at you the whole time. So I just want to put that out there of how much of a Herculean task what we're doing is, and how much I really appreciate my old lady for doing this. Because she's doing the lion's share of loading and moving stuff around. So a huge round of applause for Gonti. She's fucking awesome. She really is. She may not be Geddy Lee on the bass, doing Billy Sheehan bass licks, but she works unbelievably hard to make this happen, and I just wanted to get that off my chest, because when you just watch the video, it's like, oh yeah, they're jamming in the woods. You don't think like the night before, but going back a week, we're working on this shit to make this happen. It's a lot of work. So, yay for Compti. All right, you guys. Thank you. I'll see you soon. Hopefully I'll have some decent edited video. Maybe.